Hey there, bro. It's me again. So a bit to talk about D&D related. Um, First off, I want to say congratulations on starting. It's always a big jump from not doing anything to jumping back into a campaign on both sides, on the player side and the DM side. So I do have a couple of questions. One of them being, is it just two players, or did your cousin come back in, or how's that working? Another thing is, don't get distracted or distracted. Well, don't get distracted while you're DMing, but don't get discouraged either because my mom took a while to get into it. But once she did, she was good to go, and she did the same thing actually with writing everything down. It was a compliment. I don't know why she got so defensive, but um, she just the way she wrote it down was not the way I would. But that's fine. It's kind of biting her in the butt now because she can't find people's names because she writes them, and then she'll also after that write the next combat that they're in, what she used, how it went, basically, how many spells she used, abilities, stuff like that. So, since I've transitioned over, my group returned to the floating city. They did some research, did some looking around, and then the crater city of Ware was they were told that they had some kind of issue, and they didn't really work with anybody there before, so they were kind of turned away. They persuaded their way to kind of find out what was going on, and what was going on was apparently an ancient green dragon had cropped up, built a small area, a lair, and started forming a cult to Tiamat nearby. And so they went out immediately and slew it. I mean, they went pretty quickly. It was really stressful for them, though, having been the first time they actually fought against a dragon. Excuse me. Um, After that, they made it kind of like an audible call, for a football term there. They were planning originally on going straight from there to the City of Brass, or the Fire Plane at the very least, but they kind of changed that real quick so they could go get allies from the Jinn, and in doing so, they were sent on a quest to go get a piece of the Rod of Law, to steal it back from one of the Wind Dukes who had retrieved it already. This led them to fight a Naga, which is lawful good, as well as a Sphinx, which is lawful neutral. They didn't have a problem fighting them once they committed. Their problem was that they didn't want to fight good creatures, or creatures that were just doing their duty, that had proper reason to be doing what they were doing. Most of the time, they're fighting people who are threatening people or doing shit that's mean in some way or shape or form. Um, this was a departure for them from what they usually do. So it was kind of good to see because my mom really squirmed under that pressure. She didn't like it a lot. She was like, I don't want to hurt her, and so my little sister was basically the one doing most of the damage there, and they ended up succeeding in the Sphinx's challenge, which was merely to survive, and make him survive during his different stages of one of his abilities. Which, if you have the monster manual, you can look up Androsphinx and find out what that is. Um, and then they returned the rod, the fraction of the rod, back to the Jinn Caliph, who gave them kind of a side quest if they are able to while they're in the City of Brass, to infiltrate the vaults, which are heavily, heavily guarded, and rescue a captive Jinn Caliph from its imprisonment. Kind of doubt they're going to go for that one, though, just because they were already told how heavily defended it was rumored to be. So, yeah, and then we left off with them getting to the Plane of Fire. And they are going to start off next session with journeying through the Plane of Fire and hopefully finding some more allies, a little bit more background, and then we'll see from there. This next session is going to be very, very tense because there's a very high chance of death should they mess it up. So, now I'm getting ready to do homeworks, and I gotta go because I'm almost up on my time. So, see you tomorrow.